This is my dad, Chris. He owns a bar and campground in Lake Nebagman. I'm Liz. I work at the bank, and I was wondering if you know what I do for a living.
I believe you're some sort of supervisor at the NBC branch in Solon Springs.
Yes, and Poplar also.
And Poplar, yes, I've seen you at Poplar.
Do you know what I do during the day?
Not exactly. I think you set up new accounts.
Mm-hmm. So I am the manager for the tellers at both branches, and I have personal banker duties too, so I can open new accounts, safe deposit boxes, all that kind of stuff as well. What was I like when I was a kid?
I don't know. You're smart. You're good in school. You're pretty well behaved for the most part, or at least you got away with it.
Yeah. Were you surprised when I got into banking?
Not really, no. I mean, you've always been around numbers with me, and there isn't a lot of opportunity in Solon Springs, Wisconsin. So you've got the bank or the grocery store or the post office. So
Yeah.
it was one of three.
So I always remember you doing your deposits and writing them all down on the deposit slip.
Yep.
And then having to get to the bank and balance the tills and count the money and do inventory and ordering. So I knew how to do a lot of the stuff, like writing checks out.
Small business, you do a lot of things when you own your own business.
Yeah,
You got to do
all
it
of it.
You have to do it all. You don't just get one job title. So you get exposed to a lot of different stuff, and you were always around when I was doing it. So it makes a lot of sense.
How did you learn how to do that stuff?
Well, interesting, I guess. I started raking leaves at Wasco's when I was 11 years old, and I've been there ever since. I'm 48 now. I've owned it for 24 years, so at some point I started taking over the store and doing inventory and stuff there, and then after I bought it, I built the bar and kind of did that. I guess I was self-taught or maybe taught on as I went,
Yeah.
you know.
How do you normally bank? Do you use the app?
No, I use the app to balance my checkbook. But as far as my banking, everything's handwritten slips. I go through the drive-through mostly because I'm always in a hurry. I don't usually ever go into a bank. In fact, the last time I refinanced my mortgage, we didn't even go into the bank. I think we met someplace at a restaurant and did it.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. There's a lot of options now.
It's not like the old days. You went and sat in front of a board and did all that. Now you talk to somebody on the phone and you meet him at the gas station or something. It's kind of weird.
If you wanted interest rates for a loan or a CD, where would you get that information from?
And there's lots of places. I mean, the internet is pretty handy. You call around to different banks. I've got a couple credit unions I deal with and a couple banks. You got to keep your options open in my business because they're not real friendly to borrowing money to bar owners. Even though my campground is worth a small fortune, they always consider it the bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have to look around to different options. Online is a good spot. Our app, we could do messaging, so you don't even have to call. You can just message and get that information, so that's kind of nice. Are you aware of banking fraud?
I'm very well aware of banking fraud.
How do you take steps to avoid it?
There isn't a lot you can do. You try to keep your information out of the public eye. You have different passwords for everything in case one account gets hacked. They can't get them all. Do they get hacked all the time? Probably once every 2 years I have to get a new debit card because it's been hacked because I bought something online or something along that lines.
Yeah. Yep, you have to be careful of what websites you use. That's for sure. So when you've had to have those situations with fraud on your account, how do you deal with that? Do you have a certain person you contact?
Usually I get a phone call. My cell phone will ring and there's a voice on the other end that says, punch 9 to talk to somebody, and then it asks you like 3 transactions. So then I'll pull up my app and look at my phone and look and see what transactions they're talking about, and then if I remember making them or not. And if it comes back that I made them all, it's fine, but if it doesn't, then they freeze your card and send you a new debit card.
Yeah, it's nice that they're always monitoring that stuff, so a lot of
is.
times it gets caught rather quickly before your whole account gets...
Yeah. It is nice, too, with different things like PayPal. You've got an added layer, so if you use the PayPal, they got to hack that before they can even get to your bank account, so that kind of helps, too, you know. But if your debit card gets hacked, it's a
Yeah.
Major
Yeah, that's why I
deal.
really like that we have the fraud department connected, so that way they're always watching it, because a lot of times they'll know before you do and they call you. What's the biggest change you've seen in banking so far in your lifetime?
The biggest would probably be like the internet, all the internet stuff. I don't personally do it, but I know like your brother, when he gets a check, he takes a picture of it and it goes right into his account. And I have to do. I don't do any of that stuff myself yet, but I imagine it's coming up in the near future.
Yeah, my brother's going to make you start doing that in the future, probably.
So I mean, internet banking, I would have to say, is the biggest thing. I mean, I still write paper checks for some things. 90% of my bills are paid on automatic withdrawal. Like I get something from a vendor. State of Wisconsin's 15 days. So if I buy something for beer, 15 days later, it automatically comes out of my account to that vendor. Liquor's 30 days, so 30 days from the day I purchase, automatically comes out of my account. I don't have to even mess with most of it anymore.
Yeah, and I remember like having to run checks places to pay bills for you.
Yep.
Before you'd write out a
Yep.
check and I'd get the envelopes and go in my car and
Yeah,
drive around and pay the
back
bills.
in the beginning, yeah, and you'd have to go and take care of everything. But pretty much everything I have is done ACH now.
Yeah, that does make it a lot easier though. Saves a lot of time
Yep.
not having to run around and write checks and mail checks.
For sure. What is it you feel that you've learned from me about banking or financing?
I've definitely learned about paying bills, about making sure you have the money in your accounts to pay your bills, how to write a deposit slip, how to write a check, how to count money, pretty much all of it from watching you my whole life growing up, even like just personal and business. I think so. I had a really good understanding of how things worked when I started in the bank.
Out of curiosity, what do you enjoy most about working at the bank?
I like working around people and I like helping people, so I enjoy when customers come in and they need help with something. I like to sit down and help them with it. I also like my relationships with my coworkers at both branches. I like to be a part of a team, so it's a lot of fun when you just spend time with people.
But problem solving is
Problem
probably
solving, I love problem solving, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that was our last question, so thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it. I had fun.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.